really candid since you've left the show about just sort of talking about your experiences there, but we don't hear a lot from a lot of people when they leave. They don't, and I've noticed this just by doing this podcast. People have enjoyed hearing from a lot of people, Doug Goodstein, Tim Sabian, but there's a full list of people that are just not wanting to talk about their experiences. What is that? What do you think that is? I know, I mean, like people like Scott can't. Scott the engineer has an NDA, and there's probably a few others that we don't know, and maybe that's why. But why do you think some folks are just not wanting to talk about any of the experiences they had there once they leave?
I don't know. I think for me personally, I decided that I'm a comic, right? I don't like when people tell me what I can and can't say. I don't. I had a comic once who was booking a show in Vegas, didn't want to put me up because I was wearing jeans. And I'm like, shit like that bothers me, right? So when it got to the point for me where they were like, hey, you can do your side shit, you lose half your salary, you lose your benefits, but you can do your side shit. But, the last 15 years, Sirius, the show, Howard, you can't talk about any of that. And so for me, I was like, well, okay, look, I'm not looking to shit on the guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. But 15 years of my life is 15 years of my life. And I should be able to share a story about running into Norm Macdonald in the hallway and him asking me to go to lunch. And then I worked Caroline's with him. Or, whatever the fuck it may be. Saying hi to Spade, anything. My Gene Simmons story that I told in the first episode, right? That happened on the sidewalk right outside Sirius. Am I violating this agreement by telling these stories? Because that was my issue. And that was my thing where I'm like, look, can I just get something in writing? Can I just get something in writing that says, here's what you don't want me to talk about? And I'll sign it. And management was like, well, this is kind of the way it is. And so I said, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it all on the table. I'm gonna walk away. And now you can't tell me anything. And it was a risk and it was a gamble. And it was a lot of money, but peace of mind, being able to sit here and talk to you or just on my show and answer questions, that to me is worth a lot more. And the payout from it, what I'm seeing from people, the responses, and almost everybody, whether they liked me on the show or hated me, they love the honesty. They love the fact that I'm sharing, that I'm not shying away from shit, but I'm also not shitting on anybody. It can be done. It is possible. And so I've always wanted to do things on my terms with that show. I love Richard and Sal, but I'm never going to paint my dick as a KISS member to get airtime. And so for me, that was a big thing. Like, I'm going to get on the air my way. And I was going to leave my way. I wasn't going to join the bitter crew. I wasn't going to join the haters. Are there shit that pissed me off there? Absolutely. I worked at a place for 15 years. Anywhere you work for 15 years, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have people that rub you the wrong way. But do I want to write a book about it? Do I want to do a podcast every week talking shit about this? That kind of negative energy is it's just an anchor, buddy. You're never going to progress. I want to grow as an artist. I want to grow as a broadcaster. I'm not going to do that talking about the show every day. So yeah, for me, I don't have bad shit to say about the guy. I'm glad that I'm able to talk. I'm glad that that's the thing that people are hanging on to and digging about the show, is that I'm able to talk. And I'm digging the fact that people are saying, hey, I'm glad you didn't shit on it. I'm glad you didn't do this or that, because I am too.
No, it's good. And like I said, I've been following you for years. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do there. I know you've got an interview today with someone I'm interested to listen to, so I look forward to that. We'll let you talk about that. Just a couple more minutes here, but I think when people leave the show, I guess the fact that it's never mentioned on the show just lets people's imaginations run wild, and so that's what happened with you. Also happened with Brent, who's been a part of this. And you just read all these conspiracy theories. But what was it like when Brent left? And you guys were pretty tight by the end, right? But what was it like when he left? Because it was one of those, he was there, he was doing stories, he was on the air a lot, and then he was gone. What was it like for you? And just tell me a little bit about your relationship with him, because he's a fun guy, and he was funny here.
Yeah, I like Brent. Brent's a good dude. He's a hustler. When he left, it was weird. I now didn't have an office mate to cut his fingernails next to me while sitting at his fucking desk like an animal, where I'd have to dodge ricocheting nail clippings off a goddamn wall. I missed that. I missed him with headphones on, just humming like a mental patient, but there was no music. He was just humming to him. It's almost like a full orgasm all day long. It was tough. It was tough to not have that anymore. Seeing his hotness around the office was nice too. I mean, 7 is being modest. That dude's more like a 17. And his honesty, I miss the most. The guy never lied to me about anything. And I always respected his honesty. Brent's a good dude, man. He can take it to a point, and I always love pushing him past that point. And then he would calm down later, because when it's all said and done, he loves radio. And so one person would come to him in the office, because we'd go back. You got to understand, we'd fucking go at it on the air, and then we shared an office. So we go back to this office, and his back's to me, and my back's to him. And it's quiet. And one person would just come in and go, "Great shit, guys." And then I would be like, for him, it'd be like, "Oh, thanks, man. Thanks." And then he'd turn around and he'd be like, "Yeah, that was pretty good, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, that was good." Until the next time I pissed him off, and he would look at me like he wanted to wear my skin.
Was it weird when he left, though? Or, was that surprising to you? I don't know if you guys talked about it, but was it just like an odd thing? Because, again, people were like, where'd he go? Why is he gone? And he pretty much mentioned, he was like, I needed to get to Florida. I was scared of COVID. I wanted to get the hell out. It's kind of like your story-ish.
Yeah, I mean, they were in an apartment. He had a fucking German Shepherd in an apartment with him. Like, that's like having another apartment in your apartment with you, in New York. Or they were in Jersey City. Yeah, I get it, dude. Like, I don't fault the guy. I don't fault anyone, whether you're at a show, at Home Depot, at fucking Circle K. If you get to the point one day where you're like, I got to get out of here, go. Listen to your gut. Follow your instinct, man. I'm very happy for him. I was happy for him because I know he was stressed. I know he was stressed about, COVID and where they were at and work and that kind of stress, man. That's how you get sick. That's how you get COVID. That's when your immune system gets shut down, is when you are stressing and worrying about everything. So I was very happy to hear him go, and that he was happy and relieved, and he started doing his own thing. The guy's fucking grinding. He's getting there. Him and Kaylin, they're hustling, they're working, and respect to them, man.
Couple more minutes. I always ask my Howard Stern guests about Artie Lange. Tell me about those days when it was getting weird, and did you get a chance to talk to him in those days, try to help him? And I know you guys, I don't even know if you went on a couple tours with him maybe. And what's he up to now? Do you get a chance to talk to Artie? I know it's no one does, but I always have to ask because I would like to know how he's doing. And just give me some of those times back in the late 2008s, 2009s. Things are breaking down, and what was it like for you just to watch that happen? And how's he doing? If you know?
I mean, well, but first of all, I don't know how he's doing. I'm about 9 cell phone numbers behind on him, so I haven't talked to him in quite some time. I shoot him a DM here and there, but I haven't heard back. I hope he's good. I hope he's with his mom and his sister. The fact that he's not on social media, I think, is a very good sign. The fact that he's not anywhere really, I think, is a good sign. I think he's taking care of himself, what he needs to take care of, number one. As far as the Artie years, the end, I hated it. I hated every second of it because there was nobody more genuine. And I mean, he looked out for me when I got out there. I got out there in 05, 06, November of 06, he invited me to his mom's for Thanksgiving, right? He didn't need to do that. He invited me to his mom's for Thanksgiving. On the drive out there, he was just schooling me on radio and being a comic and how, like, hey, you're doing this Killers of Comedy tour and, you know, you're not going to make as much as you should because you're going to be doing a lot of the material with Levy. But there's guys who are going to be making more than you because they're on the air. And so you got to be okay with that. And you got to understand that. You got to make a decision how you're going to get on the air and how you're going to be perceived. And that was a big thing for me, you know, as far as like, he wasn't necessarily knocking anybody, but he was just like preparing me for the mind fuck of like, you know, Richard and Sal are going to do, you know, well, not Sal would do about 15 minutes. And Sal, I always say, can do stand up anywhere. Richard was doing stand up because he could, because there was a market for it. But Richard would go up there and do 7-8 minutes at best. And Richard made, I mean, for somebody doing 8 minutes, Richard made great money. And there were times on the road where I made less than him, but I was doing 30, 35 minutes and Levy was closing out the show doing the same. We were bookending it. I was hosting it. So that's what he was preparing me for. And then he let me into his mom's home and we sat there and had dinner with his family. And on the way back, we went and saw the James Bond movie and got stoned, you know, smoked a bowl in his car and fucking went. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, I'm still a super fan. And I'm like, I'm in Artie's Mercedes smoking a bowl with him going to see, you know, James Bond. Those were my favorite memories. Him, such a great storyteller, such a great ball buster, and just a really sweet guy. And working with him on the road was both great and depressing. You know, to see him not be able to enjoy it was a bummer. As for me as a comic, you know, this is a level I'm shooting for, right? I want to be playing theaters like this guy. I want to be, but you know, I would sit there and go, well, fuck, is this what comes with it, right? You just lock yourself in the green room with headphones on and you don't talk to anybody. I got in to stand up to work with my friends, not to be in a different green room, but it wasn't Artie, right? And so you had your suspicions, you had your hunches, but you know, nobody ever saw him do it. But yeah, I love the guy. And if there's anybody I will root for 10 out of 10 times, no matter what, it's that dude. I wish him all the best. And I hope we hear from him soon. I would kill to have him on my podcast. Love to talk to him.
You and me both. We'll do a tag team interview. What?
Oh, if he goes on your shit before mine, I'm fucking blowing my brains out. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going to work on it.
If I see him with and you and that fucking hair, I'm gonna jump out a goddamn window.
Well, now I'm going to work very hard. So yeah, I had a number for him as well.